PennsPeakRadio.com.
Something that I figured we'd do, and we reached out to this particular lady, and doctor, she is in-house right now. She is our in-house sex therapist, and I will tell you this, man, if there would be anybody that I would want to cheat with, it would probably have to be Dr. Natasha, and let me see, we have her live from Texas. Hi, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready for you.
All right, I know. Well, I'm ready for you too. I really am. Now, you're in Texas, right?
Yes, I live in Dallas, Texas. I used to live in LA, but now I'm in Dallas.
All right, all right. So, is that a better move for you?
Oh yeah, had a kid. I was like, I'm not raising my kid in LA. In Dallas.
On the streets. I'm not doing it. So, listen, we have Dr. Natasha has you've written for. Why don't you tell them? You've written for magazines, all of them, Cosmo, Glamour, right?
Oh yeah, and you can hear. I do quotes like almost like every month for Cosmo and Glamour and the big ones. Mm-hmm. And I'm out. Let's see. My first book came out a couple of years ago. It's called A Little Bit Kinky, and it's perfect for Valentine's because it's a couple's guide to rediscovering the thrill of sex. Mm-hmm. And then I had a second book that just came out called Vitamin O, and that's why the big O is. It just talks all about how important it is for females, for your health, for your happiness, for your it's the reason sometimes you even want to have sex. So if you're having trouble with your desire, like so many couples come to me and they're like, we've been together a year or 6 months or even 2 months. They're like, and we just don't even want to do it anymore.
Yeah, right.
Can you help us?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm hoping that Michelle is listening to this, or at least I'm going to send her off a copy of the show because sometimes by the end of the day, it's like, really, do we have to? I really don't want to. Not that she even asks for it.
Something so fun went from like just there, you never had to communicate. It was just there. It was organic. You just were all over each other. You just wanted to do it. You never even thought about it. Then now you're maybe married. Maybe you have a kid. You both go to work or not. But you just at the end of the day, you're just not really in the mood. And you're actually not really in the mood the next morning either. And you actually don't really think about it that much. Or one person is more so than the other, which is always the case.
Well, isn't that always the case with a guy? Isn't a guy more into it? Like, you've heard all the surveys. I mean, a guy thinks about it how many times a day? I mean, as opposed to a woman, we think about it more. Why is that?
Yeah, but that's true. It's because you produce more testosterone than we do. But it's not true. Just as many women complain that they're not getting enough sex.
Really?
So you might think that we're all mismatched, but what happens?
Please email me, doc@pennspeakradio.com, if there's any women out there.
I think it's more of like it's a life thing. Like, say you have kids and you feel overwhelmed, and maybe you're, this is just one example, because this can also be the reverse. And maybe you feel like, this new mommyhood isn't very sexy to you. Because let's face it, I'm a mom. It's just really not sexy.
Right.
Especially in those beginning years. When he makes it to 4, then you're good to go. But by then, sometimes either you're resentful at your partner for God knows what, maybe for not helping, you know, or years have gone by where you couldn't just throw down once a week, and you went down to once a month, and now it's like once every 3 months. But so it's important. And you know what, too? If you're listening out there and you've never bothered to, like, get some books that teach you how to have better sex, then you're just lame. You're not even trying. I mean, aside from my books, there's another great one that came out called Till Sex Do Us Part. There's another great one out from a friend of mine called The Great American Sex Diet. You need at least 5 sex books in your library, under your nightstand table or under your bed or wherever, and then you're considered trying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
No kidding.
And then you read them and then do them. Do the suggestions. Make an effort. A lot of couples just throw in the towel. They get so lazy and they don't make an effort. And I don't know. Does this sound familiar? Like, you never want to do it anymore. It's just like, well, I'm just not in the mood.
That's what I hear. I hear that all the time. Hey, Shell, and she goes,
do you?
Yeah. So what advice do you have for her in particular on a personal level?
So then the next thing is not to let it stop there. It's like, well, what can I do to get you in the mood? What has to happen? And,
You know what she'd say? She'd say, move out. She'd say, pack your bags. That would get me in the mood.
Or bring in somebody new.
Or bring in a toy. Or bring in a friend.
A toy.
Yeah, bring it.
But that would be creative, actually. So you find out what is going on. So, like, honey, what's going on? What can I do?
Right.
And if she's like, oh, just nothing, well, that's not a conversation. So
right.
You keep on pushing, no matter how uncomfortable that it becomes. You keep on pushing, and you say, what can I do? And, I don't know if you want to give out a couple of books today, but say if you had some books around, and
right.
you pulled out my book, A Little Bit Kinky, and you're like, well, would this be something? And it starts off romantic, and then it gets kinkier and kinkier towards the very end. So the first ones, I would start out with the romantic sexual suggestions. And
okay.
Is this something that you would like me to do? And, of course, they involve a lot of foreplay, and we like that. So you're like, read it. And so she reads it. And so it plants a message in her head, and then she says, "No, not really." And then show her another one. And it's like, "Is this something you'd like me to try?" But keep trying.
She's always worried that Blake's going to wake up.
Okay, well then how old is Blake?
He'll be 5.
Okay, so I went through this. We go through this too. So what we have to do is right after we put him to bed is when we have sex. It's usually around 12 o'clock at night.
Wow, boy, your kid's up that late.
No, I'm not. I'm to bed at 10:30, and he comes to bed later and wakes me up. And I used to get kind of mad, but now that my son is 4, I'm getting more sleep, way more sleep.
So you're not mad when your husband wakes you up, even at 12 o'clock when he comes to bed?
No, because I know that there's really not many other opportunities.
Wow.
And if I don't do it then,
I love you.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'm already in love with you.
So you have to, I hate that word, compromise. You just have to just really logistically think about your schedule.
Right.
You can fit it in,
hey,
literally.
My point exactly, and do it. And that's what Dr. Natasha said. And listen, now, a great lead-in for Valentine's Day. Can you hang on a second?
Absolutely.
Do you have some time? Now, I know when we first got on, when I first called you before we went on the air, you were, is your husband working? Because you came from somewhere huffing and buffing, and you're telling me you were exercising. Is that true?
I was panting.
And I'm thinking, man, this is going to be a great interview. I'm moving to Texas. But you really were working out.
No, I just ran up the stairs.
Okay, all right.
He did have me up. He got me last night. He got me around 12 midnight.
Really?
So,
Wow. Does he work out of his house?
Yes.
Oh, really? So he works out of his house. You work out of the house. That ought to be fun.
Yeah, we see each other a lot. But even working out of the house, we have to sometimes I have to take my son to school, and then he has to be like, hey, you want to come back and play?
Yeah, right.
And so it's like sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, but I always try. It's like 75% of the time he says that I can do it.
Man, that is awesome.
Attitude is everything.
See, that's all. You know what, girlfriend? I believe in that statement. So is it healthy to take matters into your own hands and to use a toy and to do things? Is that all healthy? Is that all fair game in a relationship?
Oh yeah,
it is.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you know what, too, is nowadays, too, it's not like the old days where you just had a couple options. I don't know if you've ever been to a sex toy store. But
usually every 3 days I'll have one.
Yeah, it's just. But I seriously have a section in my book dedicated, talks all about sex toys, and just, there's like 5 that every couple needs to have. And one of them, I'll give you a little hint. One of them is just called a finger vibe, and it fits on the top, like of your index finger or one of your other fingers. The index one is usually the best.
Okay.
So imagine now you have a vibrating digit.
Right.
He can use it. She can use it. Imagine all the things that you can do with that. Say she could just be on the edge. And let's face it, the hardest way for a woman to have a big O is during sexual intercourse.
Right.
She didn't know that. So imagine if she's really close, but she's not there, and you guys are frustrated because this always happens, and then you have this little finger vibe, and you just put it on the magic spot, and boom.
And these are
it's done.
And you have
Happy
these
Valentine's Day.
You have these pointed out in your book, right?
Yeah, we talk about them in my book.
Okay.
You can also get, at any toy store. You just ask them about a finger vibe. But you don't want the one that fits on your whole finger. You want the one that fits on the tip of your finger. I'm very specific in the book because the other ones can be cumbersome. They also make like a little tongue vibe, but they're hard to use. But if you can use them correctly without choking, then you got a good deal going on. And those are good for the oral thing.
Right.
There's so much out there that people don't know, and I recommend as a couple. Use them together. Think of all the fun ways that you can use them together. If you can't think, then that's why you need my book, and we'll tell you a million suggestions. But think of all the ways you can use them together. Or if you're one of those people where she has a higher sex drive than you,
right,
then there's nothing wrong with self-pleasuring. There's nothing wrong with self-pleasuring with a vibrator to take that edge off, so you're not always pining for sex from your partner.
Now, what about the guys? What about the guys that feel inferior to a toy or anything else? What would you say to them?
Well, I noticed it too. Like a lot of guys, when they self-pleasure, they just they use the hand. A lot of them don't like the toys. It's just because of how we're physically made up.
Well, what about a guy that just feels inferior to let's say a toy that his wife or significant other is working, and he's not all about her toys, her alone time.
Okay, so he's not all about that?
I'm just asking. Yeah, I'm just saying. What about that guy that is not into her alone time? And that kind of because there's guys out there. I'm sure that's been.
Right. No, well, here's the thing, and I think this is what you're saying. I do if somebody's complaining that they're not getting enough sex, then that person, the one that's complaining that they're not getting enough sex, should start masturbating.
Right.
So that it takes the edge off. But if say if you're the one that's complaining that you're not getting enough sex and you find out your partner's masturbating, that if you guys came into my office, I'd be like, no masturbating until you guys get your sex life back on track.
Oh, wow.
Masturbate.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, interesting.
So it'd be like nobody self-pleasures until you're both satisfied. Because if someone takes matters into their own hands and the other person's left wanting it, that's not. You see what I'm saying? It takes away from the experience with them.
Right.
So until you're both satisfied and you're both.
How do you monitor that? You go home with them?
It's the honor system.
It's like I'll just sit and I'm going to sit in the corner and watch. Has anybody ever invited you into their home to see if they're doing it right? Have you ever come across that in all your years?
I guess all the time. A lot, especially when I had my own radio show. My gosh, all the time. I never did it, and so the funny thing is, since I never did it, people would send me videotapes of themselves,
really?
Little feeds on the internet.
Wow.
And I never watched them, but I did watch once. These girls sent it to me, and they just kept talking it up, and so I watched like a couple of minutes of the girl on girl.
It's got to be fun. You know what? I don't think your dinner table with you and your husband, and I don't think the dinner table is boring for you guys, is it?
No, but you know what? Believe it or not, we're really normal people. It's like we met in college, we both been married before, and then we re-hooked up later on in life. We have a kid, and after I had my child, guess what? My sex life, I couldn't find it for 2 years, my sex drive.
Wow.
Like, oh my God. I still did it, but I was like, I hardly ever felt like doing it, and then I would do it, but he could tell. He was like, it's like, I know you're doing it, but it's like you're not there. And I was like, I know, I don't know where it went. And then it just slowly came back, after a couple of years, it just slowly came back.
I hope Michelle finds it in time for tomorrow.
Reading sex books helps too.
All right. Well, look. I need a signed copy to me so I can give it to Michelle. All right. So that's all I know. And then I'm going to say here, and maybe I'll even read it to her. Would that be all right?
Yes.
See?
Just anything that creates a dialogue about sex, make sure. It makes a sex life.
And it's okay to talk about it, right? And you're the doctor. I mean, here's a doctor of education. She's done this, human sexuality. She's a clinical sexologist, and look, I know what she's talking about is absolutely true because I'm all about it, and she's done it for a lot of years. Books that are on Amazon, A Little Bit Kinky and Vitamin O. Check things out. Dr. Natasha, all the way from Texas. Now, listen, before I cut you loose, before we give somebody a chance at some books here as well, one point. And I told you about this earlier before we went on. I did a little survey earlier this morning and posted some questions, asked some questions, and it looks like just about now 43% of guys saying that Valentine's Day is made for making love. Only 19% of women now are saying that it is a day to make love. So how do you look at that? Valentine's Day, is it dinner, movie, and sex, or what is it tomorrow?
Okay, so definitely do something. I know some guys and even some women feel this way, like, oh, it's so lame. It's just a Hallmark created this holiday to just get us in trouble. Just get over it. Just do something so that he or she is not upset. A card, something romantic, dinner, whatever. Just do something. And if it's not on the day, guess what? Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just as long as it's like before or after, I'll give you 24 hours. My husband and I have a 24-hour period because we're not always in the mood at the same time. So it's like the other day my husband wanted a, DJ. And so I was like, I'm really not in the mood for that. You know what? 24-hour rule. We always give each other 24 hours. Within 24 hours, you will get exactly what you want.
I'm going to start that 24-hour. That's a good rule.
It always works because within 24 hours, you can get yourself in the mood. And find time to do whatever it is. So that's one of the tips. It applies here too. But let your partner know. Don't just hold it in as a secret. Tell him, you know what? You're going to get what you want, but give me 24 hours. Give me a little window so I can get myself in the mood and make you super happy.
All right. Now listen. Here's another question that was just posed. What do you do? And I can relate to this. What do you do? All right, what do you do when she said, you know what, don't get me anything, I don't need a thing. Don't get me anything, I don't need anything. Like, is that, like when a woman says no, she really means yes. How do we approach that for tomorrow, Valentine's Day?
Oh, my gosh. And you know what's funny is I used to do that. But,
like, don't worry about it, honey. Don't get me anything. I'm fine. I have you. I love you.
Okay, do absolutely ignore her. You have to ignore what she's saying.
Okay.
And at least, at the very minimum, get a card and some flowers. That is the minimum.
Look, we were shopping. Here's a personal note for you. We were shopping yesterday, and Michelle, she's a cute lady. She's, boat model. She looks awesome. She has a couple of flotation devices that if the cruise ship goes down, I'm able to hang on. We're all good. But we're walking by. We're doing some food shopping yesterday, and we walked by this big bakery case where they do some really incredible things. And she's going, look at these strawberries. They're huge, and they look like little tuxes just in time for Valentine's Day. I said, that'd be fun, Shell. She goes, look, I don't need a thing. Don't buy me anything. So I can relate to that question that just came in from this guy. What do I do? Do I buy something when they say no? Yes.
Yes. The answer is, I just want to say, shut up, get out there and buy her something.
All right.
Period. No matter how many times she says, no, it's a waste of money. Don't do it. Yes, do something. And if, you know what? If times are tough and you can't afford it, then make her dinner.
Yeah.
And, something, and make her a handmade card, but do something. Give her something.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So there you look, a little bit of advice. We could go on and on and on. And
did I cover it?
Yeah, I think we covered a little bit of everything in like 45 minutes. It was all good. And it's my mother is probably still according to my sister, my mom's going, oh my God, I raised a devil child. Listen, orgasms vital to a woman's health and happiness. A little bit kinky and Vitamin O, both on Amazon. And Dr. Natasha.
You know what's funny too is they're like nothing. I think they're less than $10. So it's like, come on, people. If you want a good sex life, you have no excuse. My books are out there. Other books are out there. Get going.
How about it? And
investment.
It is a good investment. Michelle has some things.
You can use them like a little bit kinky. There's 200 suggestions in there. Come on. I mean, it'll take you probably several years to go through it, and then after that, you just start over again from the beginning. Or by then, you'll be able to make up your own, and you'll be rolling in the great sex activity.
I love it, man. I want to reach out and let you know that join me if anything else comes about in your life, and keep me in your media loop with Cosmo and Glamour and Sirius and all this other thing, and we'd love to feature you on the show occasionally as well. So if you have time and something new is happening in your life, or maybe you came up with a new position or something, I'd like to share it with us.
Yeah, and I think Cosmo right now, I have something in Cosmo right now about the 69 position thing.
All right,
and
cool.
I make several comments about how to make it just better and more comfortable for women. A lot of women don't really like to do that.
Right. Right. Yeah, I knew
So
one.
anyway, check that out.
I knew one once that did. All right, listen. I don't know. Boy, oh boy. At least I have the memories anyway. Listen, Dr. Natasha, you'll find her on a search engine, but do check it out. She's a lot of fun, and there's nothing wrong with what we're talking about because it is healthy for a woman and both a guy as well. Yes?
Yes. Everybody have great sex, and hopefully it's Valentine's week, not Valentine's tomorrow. Let's consider it Valentine's week.
There you go. That's all good. Dr. Natasha, you're the best. Check things out on our website, and we'll give you a shot at some books coming up here in a little bit, so stick around, all right?
PennsPeakRadio.com